Avoiding common mistakes in modal verbs. Mastering negative forms and questions. Hello, English learners. Welcome to another video in our intermediate grammar series. Today, we're focusing on an important topic: modal verbs, specifically obligation and necessity. In this video, we'll dig deep into negative forms and questions, looking at some of the most common mistakes English learners make and, most importantly, how to avoid them. Let's get started. Before we talk about common mistakes, it's crucial to understand the basic structure of negative forms and modal verbs. Negative forms are used to indicate a lack of necessity or obligation. For instance, when using the modal verb, must, the negative form, must not, indicates a prohibition. The contraction is, mustn't. Remember, when making negative forms, simply add, not, after the modal verb. Now let's tackle some of the most common mistakes with negative forms. 1. Using don't, doesn't, with modal verbs. This is incorrect. Remember, always use not directly after the modal verb. For example, the correct negative form of she can swim is she cannot swim, or she can't swim, not she doesn't can swim. 2. Confusing must not and don't have to. These phrases have different meanings. Must not implies prohibition, while don't have to indicates no obligation. For instance, you must not swim here means swimming is forbidden. On the other hand, you don't have to swim here means swimming is optional. When forming questions with modal verbs, the structure usually is modal verb plus subject plus base form of the verb. For example, can you swim? Or, should I leave? In questions, we often see these common mistakes. 1. Incorrect word order. Sometimes, learners forget to put the modal verb before the subject. Remember, the correct order is modal verb plus subject plus verb. For example, can you swim? Not, you can swim? 2. Omitting the base verb. Remember, after the subject, we need to include the base form of the verb. For example, should I leave? Not, should I? That wraps up our exploration of common mistakes in negative forms and questions with modal verbs. Keep practicing and remember these tips to avoid falling into these common pitfalls. English learning is a journey, and every step you take gets you closer to mastery. Keep it up, and we'll see you in the next video.